Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review, and today I am shining the spotlight on this, the very popular G.I. Joe character, Firefly. Alright, so Firefly is the Cobra Saboteur. Growing up, he was probably one of my favorite G.I. Joe characters and toys. There was just something about him that I don't know. Maybe it was because of his mask. Maybe he seemed a little bit more mysterious. Maybe because when I was younger, for the longest time, I thought he was a ninja. But later on, I realized he wasn't a ninja. He's a cool looking dude. I dig him all around. I love his color scheme. His outfits have always just been very stealthy. And he's had numerous action figures over the tenure of G.I. Joe. So let's get this started. So this video, I'm more specifically going to feature this guy here. The recently released G.I. Joe Classified series, Firefly, from the Target exclusive Cobra Island series. So this is going to be our main event. The rest of these figures are more so just the supporting cast. We'll dive into these guys a little bit later. But for now, let's just focus on the classified Cobra series figure right here. Okay, so I purchased this recently. I got this through a third-party seller on Amazon. I want to say I paid $38 before tax and shipping, which is I think this toy originally retailed, if you could find it at Target, I think for $19.99. But the Cobra Island figures, they're kind of hard to come by, especially this one. This was a really hard figure to come by. So, I mean, I had to resort to, a third-party seller on Amazon to get them. And I know $38 kind of seems like a lot, but the price did drop from what it was previously. So I kind of just decided to bite the bullet because, as I mentioned at the start of the video, Firefly was one of my favorite characters as a kid. And I've been wanting this figure for a long time. And it just looks really cool. He has this cool flak jacket. He has a drone, some crazy looking gun, it looks like he has a bunch of, I think that's explosives, made like dynamite. I don't know what that is. Backpack, goggles. So yeah, this is a really cool iteration of Firefly. I dig him a lot. The box art's nice. It's a really cool illustration. Here's his abilities and perks. You could decipher this on the G.I. Joe website. Up close, zoomed in picture of his portrait. Or, I take it back. I think this might be a different image altogether. And on the back we have Cobra Island. Okay, so let's get this started. Alright, we have that cool image of the Terradome on the inside. It's pretty neat. I always get confused between the Cobra Terradome and then the turtles. They have the, what's that giant thing? Is that the Terradrone or is that the Terradome also? I don't know, I get confused. But this looks cool. I doubt we'll ever get this in 6-inch scale, but as a child, the original toy, the original playset was something I always kind of wanted, but I never had. And then in my later years as an adult, I always contemplated maybe just getting a beater one and restoring it. But it's such a large playset, I don't know where I'd put it, even though it looks amazing. Alright, so first impressions of Firefly while he's still in the tray. It looks awesome. I do have my reservations about his costume. I think the vest is a little bit overkill, but I can't argue against the fact that it's highly detailed. It looks amazing. Yeah, I mean it's Firefly, but it's a much more modern take. I have a feeling down the road they'll probably give us a much more like a legacy version of the character and his like OG duds. So we get the backpack, goggles. It looks like some sort of drone. Is pistol or what? I don't know what the hell this is. It's one of those future-looking guns. This, I don't know what this is. This may be like a data pad. We'll take a look at it in a second. And some explosives. All right, we have the Firefly figure. Very, very cool. We have his drone. This drone looks kind of cool. It kind of reminds me of that. What's the name of the new Star Wars video game that came out? It's about that. It takes place, I think, post Order 66. I think. And then it's about that one kid, and he's on that, like, the game starts off where he's on that planet where they're tearing down all the Republic cruisers and stuff. And this, for some reason, this drone kind of reminds me of the little tiny, like, droid that follows that guy around. I can't remember his name. Or the video game. It's making me crazy. Here's his weapon. This looks like something. This looks kind of crazy. It looks like something out of Star Wars more than G.I. Joe. I don't know what this is. Maybe some sort of data pad, or I don't know. He's a saboteur, so maybe it's used to like hack into like computer mainframes. He has his explosives. It's like a collection of possibly, I think, 7 sticks of dynamite. It's pretty neat. Here's his backpack, and it's really cool because I just noticed this now. But you could take this data pad thing, and there's like a plug there, and then there's a socket here, so you can store them together. Really awesome. I love stuff like that. And then he has his goggles, but they're taped in, and I don't want to bother with them right now, so we'll just leave the goggles aside. Alright, so here we have Firefly. Although the color scheme is very consistent with, you know, what we associate Firefly with, his costume has been updated with this kind of like flak jacket here. And it's like protective armor. I like it, but at the same time, when I see it, it makes me feel like he's, especially when you see this, it makes me feel like he's more of a demolitions expert than a saboteur. I know, you know, they could kind of go both hand in hand, but when I think saboteur, I think someone that's a little bit more like stealth, and someone that's more in the shadows. You know, when I think of like explosives, I think demolitions expert. I think kind of more, that's more on the lines of like terrorism. Whereas when I think of saboteur, I think that's someone that's more cerebral. And I always kind of associated Firefly with that. You know, this is someone that I think is going to be a little bit more cerebral rather than just going in and exploding things. You know, this is the kind of guy I always envisioned as, you know, he's going to infiltrate a headquarters, sneak his way through the shadows, and then hack his way into like their data network or something. But I don't mind it. I think it's cool. Would I have preferred the original costume? Of course. But I do think, you know, in time we probably will get that. And what I'm guessing is, you know, when that does happen, they'll just swap out the jacket here, you know, with a different, like, maybe like straps or harnesses. It looks like this thing could come off, but it seems like you'd have to possibly remove the head, remove the arms, because it doesn't look like it snaps into place. It looks like it's more of a sleeve, this jacket vest kind of deal. So I'm guessing underneath here, he might actually have his full attire. I'm sure if I looked around on YouTube, maybe someone did a full review on him and actually opened him up. Because I do know that for like the Cobra Infantry Trooper, if you did remove the vest, underneath there is actually a uniform. And I'm hoping that's the case here. If I could find another one of these at retail, I'd love to like get it and just cut the vest off and examine it for myself. But I don't know how easy this would come off if I just tried removing the arms and the head. Because this is kind of a denser plastic. It would soften up if you like boiled it, but I'm not sure how much it would stretch. Because it seems like you can't remove the arms from the shoulders. You could remove them from the biceps. But yeah, this is a great sculpt. Great if the camera can't catch because of the shadows that are being casted, but he has a great expression in his eyes. Very dead-on serious. The sculpting on his hood looks amazing. Nice fine textures along it. Nice trim lines. You get a little bit of stitching, just a little bit. The jacket is nice. Armored plating on one shoulder. I like the asymmetry of that. It's nice that he has, on one side, he has maybe concussion grenades or smoke bombs. And then one side, he has this shoulder pad. This is a very much more modern aesthetic. Like, this is something you'd probably see like in a video game like Call of Duty. Which I don't mind. I mean, you know, video games are so popular nowadays. I think that's how a lot of people envision these kind of characters. He kind of has that tactical like sweater underneath. Nice texturing and detailing there. The camouflage is awesome. I kind of like it how it's more so the old school camouflage as opposed to the digital camouflage that we saw for a long time during like, you know, most of the 2000s. He has pouches. I believe that's it. No, I take it back. These are... I was about to say these are pouches, but I'm not sure if these are actually something else, like maybe cartridges that are strapped to the front of them. He has his crotch nicely protected, so if he's blowing stuff up, his junk is protected. He's not going to lose his balls. Same with his ass. So his knees are well guarded. Nice wrinkles and folds on his pants. Good detail on his boots. In terms of articulation, his head rotates. He could look down. He could look up. Not so much though for some reason. Maybe it is articulated, but oh, there you go. He could look up. We'll look back down. All right. He has a waist swivel. I think he has a waist swivel. I'm not sure about a crunch because this sleeve here is kind of like preventing me from actually feeling it out, but he might have a crunch. I think he does. I don't know. His arms rotate. This thing's on like a soft like plastic, but I would advise not to get too nuts with it because there's only two pieces of plastic holding it in place and they're pretty thin. So I'd advise not to get too crazy because it looks like you could easily stress it. Yeah, it looks like it. Alright, so this plastic here, it's softer here. Like this could bend easily, but here it's a little bit stiff. And I have a feeling if you went too nuts with this, it'd be easy to rip the plastic. And I'm kind of checking right now for stress marks. So yeah, just a word of caution. Just be careful with this. It doesn't feel as stiff. I mean, it feels a little too stiff. It doesn't feel as pliable to... I think this shoulder piece here could have been better thought out, in all honesty. I think instead of having 2 points of connection here, they should have just opted to have 1 point of connection at the top. So therefore, it just fold up. Because here, you have two opposing pieces like this, and when you try to shift it up, it wants to shear this side off. Or if you lift this side, it wants to shear that side off. So... yeah, just a word of caution. This doesn't feel like the kind of plastic I think that's going to endure over time if it keeps on moving up and down. Yeah, because right here... let me see if I get this into focus. Yeah, so right there where it attaches, that's where it's going to be stressed out. And same with right here, where the little harness is. So as you can see, not a whole lot's holding this onto this vest. So when you rotate up, this is going to fold, and eventually this might crease, and it'll weaken that connection. But like I said, I would have preferred it if they just connected it at the top instead of having that gap. I don't think they're doing anyone any favors with this design. Or what they could have done, or if you feel comfortable enough about it, you could just cut this off yourself. And I wouldn't be opposed to like this gluing this shoulder piece to the upper arm here, or finding some ingenious way of pinning it on there, because I don't think it would it wouldn't hinder the bicep swivel too much if you did it right and high enough, because I think it'd grant you the full motion, so you'd be able to actually rotate around like this. Because it's like I said, this kind of bothers me, the connections here. It looks nice, but I think the execution could have been a lot better. Moving beyond that, he has bicep swivel. His arms are on double jointed elbows. His wrists are articulated. I think they're articulated the same. All right, so this one you can see here it goes in and out, and I think this one might go up and down. Yeah, this one's articulation goes up and down, but it's kind of hindered by the cuff on the sleeve, whereas this one could go in and out. You kick up. He has a thigh cut right there. Double jointed knees, which is nice. Standard ankle articulation, and then his ankles could actually adjust for his stance. Yeah, this is bothering me here because I'm looking at mine and it looks like it's already been stressed out, which is bothering me. I don't want to worry about it like ripping. So I'll take a look at that, once the video's over. Here's his backpack. It plugs into the socket here. It's nice and simple. I do not think there is storage for his explosives, which is disappointing, but I think there's actually storage for his drone. So here's his drone again. It's cool. It looks more like a droid from Star Wars. And its legs are articulated like this. And so there's 2 slots on the backpack at the top. And I just noticed it, and here's his feet. So you can easily just slide this feet in there. I believe, which way will it go? Alright, I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. I might have to refer to a video on YouTube or something. Or does this come off? Yeah, I might have to check a video on YouTube, because I'm tempted to say I think the store's on his back. I don't know how that'd work though. Oh, wait, it does. Okay. Oh, ingenious. Okay. So, there's actually slots on the backpack here, and then you take the feet of the drone and then slide them in like this. And then you can just fold this in on itself like that. And then you have storage for that. That's neat. That's really cool. And you can store his sidearm on his backpack. I just noticed there's a socket there, peg here. So you can store his weapon like this. Which leaves us with this. Oh, awesome. Okay, I just caught that too. So there's a tab here, slot here, and then I think it only plugs in one way. Okay, that's amazing. So this is like one of my favorite things about some action figures. If they provide you with all the accessories and you can store it onto the body of the figure, I think that's great. That way you can display the figure on your shelf and not worry about having loose bits that you have to like keep in a baggie or something like that. So yeah, wonderful figure all around. Really well thought out. If I had to rate this guy, seriously, he's almost flawless in my opinion. The only thing that would hold him back is that I think this flak jacket kind of like is more of a hindrance on his articulation, but it looks really detailed. I have an issue with the execution of the shoulder pad. I think it could have been done better. But otherwise, I think this is almost like a near flawless figure. It looks amazing. It's debatable on whether or not, you prefer the classic design or this updated version. But that's alright. Yeah, so if I had to rate this guy, an easy 8.5 to a 9. I mean, it's perfect. It's almost perfect. I do have a bias towards this character, so. Alright, so since we're on the subject of Firefly, let's take a look at some other Fireflies. So this is based off of the original 80s Firefly, but this was, I believe, re-released maybe in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. I want to say this might have came with a comic pack. So at the time, Hasbro, they were releasing some of the older figures, but they had like redeco them and retool some of the sculpting like on their heads to make them look a little bit more realistic and a little bit more appropriate for, toys of the 2000s as opposed to something out of the 80s where the heads were a bit too large. The paint application on these were a lot better than the original figures. So this is essentially almost, there might have been some different parts swapped out, but essentially this is kind of almost representative of the original Firefly from back in the day. Just with updated paint job and updated retooling on whatever needed it. And on some of these figures, too, they even swapped out some of the other parts, like the leg pieces and maybe some of the arms, just to give it a little bit more detailing, depending on what kind of like holster or like harnesses they wanted to give the figure. This one, I'm not sure if it has it, but the original backpack actually had a cover on this lower panel here. And I remember liking that a lot as a kid. It's one of those things, though, that once, if you lost it, it'd be like gone forever. So this is kind of like more of the OG Firefly, and I'm thinking that in due time they're going to re-release this figure, but give us the legacy version and remove the jacket, and instead just give us the chest straps and the harnesses that go over his torso with the holster. Here's one of my favorite Fireflies. This was released around the time of the G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra live action film. And I don't think Firefly actually appeared in the movie, I think. But as with the case with a lot of these figures from this toy line, they would take liberties and give us action figures of characters that weren't in the live action film, but they would retain that realistic aesthetic, so they'd naturally fit in. I like this Firefly a lot. He kind of retains that color scheme, but what I don't like about it is that instead of being predominantly gray, they gave him a all black vest. But I mean, it's all right. But beyond looking past it, I think it's an excellent action figure. And with these smaller figures too, man, they weren't shy on giving you accessories. You got this, for kids, you got this rocket blaster. You got a knife. He has his machine gun. He looks like he has explosives. He has a flashlight. He has, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe a communicator. He has a gas tank. He has a satchel. He has something else here, and he has a backpack. So you got a buttload of accessories with these small figures, and these were reasonably priced back in the day. If you're to hunt these down on the secondary market, be prepared. Some of these figures go for a lot of money. But I love this figure a lot. This entire line, whether or not you enjoy the movie, this entire line of G.I. Joe figures, they really, really raised the bar in terms of the standard for the 3 3/4 figures. Not only for G.I. Joe, but I think also for Star Wars at the time. Because Star Wars, man, they were pushing out some really awesome stuff too around this time period. Yeah, this figure is pretty old. It's 2008. And it says here, Firefly works for Cobra in many capacities, from explosive specialist to advanced aircraft pilot. with an expertise in combat tactics, martial arts, sabotage, and demolitions. He reveals little about himself, preferring to show his talents by results instead of words. So this guy was pretty much like everything rolled up into one. You know, he's part ninja, he's part sabotage, he's part explosive expert, he's part pilot. He's like the jack of all trades. Okay, so this is not Firefly. This isn't even a custom. This is a Fortnite figure. This is the Havoc character, and so when the classified series line first came out, we only got that handful of figures at first, and I was like antsy, and I wanted just like to complete everything right then and there. And at the time, this was kind of like the figure a lot of people were kind of like using as the substitute for Firefly until we got an official one. Because I mean, I remember when I first saw this character, you know, in the video game, and when I first saw the toy at the store, I'm like, you know, this is Firefly. I don't care what they say, it's Firefly. And it was almost like a perfect fit for the classified series, but he's a little bit shorter, as you can see. But I'm a mint on card collector, you know, half the time, and I just wanted like a good collection of classified series figures on card. So I decided, you know, I'm just gonna take this guy, and until I get an official Firefly, I'll just make a custom box and pretend he's, you know, my Firefly. And it kind of worked out in a weird way also, because you know, with his backpack, he stores his giant cartoon bomb underneath it. And it's almost much like this, you know, it's the same color scheme. You know, neutral or dark backpack, and then red explosive underneath. And this one actually has a gun that I think is very appropriate to Firefly. It doesn't necessarily match his original firearm, but for me, it's good enough. The head sculpt could be a little bit better, but for what it is and what it was at the time, it was, for me, a decent substitute. And I just took a standard classified series box and I just customized it, you know, renamed them, gave them a custom graphic here, custom graphic there. And then I just took out whatever character was here and just made it generic. So it just had Cobra the enemy. Yeah, so that's Firefly in a nutshell. Wonderful, wonderful figure. I like this guy a lot. I can't stress how awesome he is, and I recommend him to you if you're... The only hard thing is that some of these Cobra Island figures are hard to find. You know, do I regret paying almost twice for them? I had a hard time pulling the trigger. We'll leave it at that. Like there's the classified series Roadblock that's based off the old school one, and I keep on looking at it, but I can't pull the trigger on that figure. It's like I've already got 2 Roadblocks, and even though that's the OG one, it's not my favorite version of Roadblock. I know a lot of people love that version of Roadblock, but I was perfectly content with the 2 classified figures we got so far. Like I didn't mind the weird Kimbo Slice looking Roadblock, and the other costume, I believe that's his version 2 uniform. I actually prefer that more than his original one, even though I did grow up on the original one initially. And I think one reason why I have a hard time pulling the trigger on Roadblock is that he doesn't come with his original firearm either. In the original 80s figures, I think he came with that giant like anti-aircraft like machine gun or something, whereas the new one comes with a really popular like Gatling chain gun, which, you know, I think is like overused to death in like fiction right now. So for me, that's kind of the thing. It's kind of a nitpick, but you know, my attitude is if you're gonna go legacy and go old school, go old school all the way and just give me the original firearm. Like I understand the Gatling gun chain gun deal is really popular, but I really just wanted that giant machine gun he had that was on that like tripod, because that thing was awesome. And I remember as a kid, I loved the interactivity with that machine gun in his backpack. Much like I dug with Firefly and this one. I love it when they take the accessories and they go that extra step and provide function with it. You know, it's not just there for decoration, but it actually functions and you can like mess around with it. I love stuff like that. So yeah, the Roadblock. I think Roadblock. Baroness on a motorcycle, and then the ceremonial Cobra Commander in like the brighter colors, with the exception of the Comic-Con exclusives. I think those are the only figures I'm missing out on right now, but I don't want to pay that kind of premium for something that's like a repaint. But the Roblox a different story. I'm still on the fence about that one. You know, I want to get it, but at the same time, I have a hard time pulling the trigger on it, just because I already have the character twice over. Okay, I'm getting a little bit long-winded here, so we'll end this video here. Once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, take care of yourself, be safe, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. So I'll talk to you soon. Later.